Hey, welcome to my YouTube channel. I call it Life in the God Lane, and what we do here, it's simple. We teach the Bible. And I'm going through a whole bunch of power verses from the book of Proverbs, wisdom from Proverbs. And this is for Monday, June the 13th, 2022. It's Proverbs 2, 1 through 5. I call it the knowledge of God. Knowledge of God. It's important power verses for the day. Now, I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell so you get notified every time I put something out. I put something out every day. Give me a thumbs up, make comments, share the video with someone else. Help me get it out to as many people as I can. It's simple. We teach the Bible. Hope you'll help me with that. The only things that happen by accident are accidents. Good things are intentional. So how do you find the knowledge of God? It's important. I want to give you 7 intentional steps to find the knowledge of God. They're brief, and we'll move through them quickly, but 7 intentional steps to find the knowledge of God. And this is from Proverbs 2, verses 1 through 5. My son, if you accept my words and store up my commands within you, turning your ear to wisdom and applying your heart to understanding, and if you call out for insight and cry aloud for understanding, and if you look for it as for silver and search for it as for hidden treasure, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. That's where we want to get to. We want to find the knowledge of God. So we have 7 intentional steps to take to the knowledge of God. The person speaking in these 5 verses is the person of wisdom. It's like wisdom's talking to us. Solomon wrote it, but he wrote it like wisdom is speaking to us. Wisdom being knowledge applied to real life out of the experience of real life. That's wisdom. Note that wisdom comes from God. It comes from God. Step 1 toward the knowledge of God is to accept wisdom's words. Accept the words of wisdom. The entire book of Proverbs, that's all 31 chapters, are filled with the words of wisdom, and they're important. To accept wisdom's words begins with exposing yourself to them, understanding that these words are truths, they're truths from God, and accepting them as truth from God. Step 2 toward knowledge of God is to store up wisdom's commands within you. Don't drop what you learn, rather store up what you learn. Keep them stored within you. Stockpile these truths from God, this wisdom from God. The 3rd step toward knowledge of God is to turn your ear to wisdom. Now, my hearing is like the rest of me. It's a little over 73 years old. And like the rest of me, sometimes I have to kind of work it to make it work right. So every now and then I have to turn my ear towards sound to hear it well. I have to turn toward the source of the sound. And I call that intentional listening. We need to practice the intentional listening for wisdom. We do that as we read and as we study. Step 4 toward knowledge of God is to apply your heart to understanding. The heart is the place of your intellect and your feeling. Apply your intellect and your feelings toward understanding. You know what that means? Here's what that means. That means as you read and as you study, you have to think and you have to reflect. And you'll stumble into the truth from God and wisdom from God. Step 5 toward the knowledge of God is to call out for insight. Insight is truths and knowledge that need to be seen into. You need to be able to see into them. It's deeper understanding and insight. And God's word's alive, and there's always deeper understanding of it. Call out. What's the point? Ask God for the insight. How does this apply to my life? And you know what? He'll make the insight very clear to you. I do that all the time as I study the Bible. Do it every day. It's 365 days a year. Step number 6 toward the knowledge of God is to look and search for it like treasure. Dig for knowledge from God, like you were prospecting for gold in a mine. It's treasure. Search for it. Dig for it. Work toward it. You'll find it. Step number 7 is to search for it like it's hidden treasure. Search for it like it's a hidden treasure. If you knew that there was a multi-billion-dollar strain of gold in a mine, you'd probably keep digging until you found it. That's what you need to do with God's word in the Bible. Just keep digging until you find it. And you know what? You'll spend the rest of your life doing that, and it's a joy. Search for the hidden treasure of God's knowledge until you find it. Dig out the knowledge of God from his word, and you will understand the fear of the Lord. That means the reverence of God, and what will happen is you will find the knowledge of God as you do that. You'll find the knowledge of God. Now notice that it's not that you will find knowledge about God. You will find knowledge of God. It is knowledge about God personally. It's personal. And that's kind of the fruit of studying the Bible. Go after it intentionally. Dig. You'll find it and you'll be blessed. I'll talk to you tomorrow.